So Nancy, this birthday is Satan was permitted by God to test Job.
So, speaking,
Testing is for our good, right?
What?
Testing is for our good, and God tests us
Yes.
for our
Your team has turned somewhat competent, Nancy.
I know, I mean,
Not good, but competent.
they're improving, I mean, at least they fight to the end. That's impressive.
The Scott Frost led team would have lost 43-3.
They would have been done at halftime, but it's not for us, I'm convinced of it. But what I'm really impressed with, and you don't need to know this, but the new, defensive coach is very impressive.
Well, they did give up 43 points.
I know they did, but Peru gave up 37.
Purdue. They weren't playing Peru State.
No, they said Purdue. It's Purdue, Indiana.
Yes. It sounded like you said Peru.
No, I said Purdue.
Okay.
Get your ears cleaned out.
Get your ears cleaned out. Get your mouth cleaned out.
Not say a bad word, yes.
Who said you guys could be salty towards me? How dare you?
They're getting too comfortable with you.
No, this is what I want. I like back and forth. You've seen it the other way. It's rough.
If there isn't back and forth.
Yeah. Getting the people in Broken Bow to talk to me is a struggle.
Oh.
I like a little banter.
But we've had you a little longer than they have.
Well, you were able to banter with me a couple weeks in, you communist.
It's a little different world back then. Oh,
Well, we all grew up respecting our leaders. That was we grew up in a time of respect. The minister might not always be right, but he is the minister.
Yeah, I don't like that at all. If I'm wrong, I want to hear about it. Because I'd rather, yeah, because Dean's one of those banterers. That is one of the issues with this particular group. I got 3 of my quiet ones here today. Rhonda, Dean, and Bonnie. Yeah. So Carol and Nancy are gonna have to do a lot of talking.
The quiet ones are the deep thinkers.
Yeah, but it doesn't help anyone unless they share their deep thoughts. Yeah, and Broken Bow, like you guys are used to me including questions I expect answers to in the sermons. Pretty normal, and they're usually not overly difficult questions. I just stand there and wait till someone says something. It's not that they don't know the answers, they just don't.
I noticed they really sat in the back seats.
Oh yeah, it's a very Lutheran thing.
It's every church.
Everyone sits in the back as far, like when I'm collecting the offering, I walk halfway down the aisle to grab the plate, because, well, the people collecting the offerings are usually, without exception, less able to move than I am, so I might as well go and get it from them. They can handle the extra steps better.
It's nice that they still have their organist, but it must be really difficult for that lady.
Well, as the wife of a former pastor.
Oh, Mrs. Strong. Oh, she's really dedicated.
Yep.
I thanked her. I went to church in Brooklyn last Sunday.
Yeah, the sermon was so brilliant last week, she had to hear it again.
It was a different version.
Yeah. They're never the same twice.
Never the same twice. Where's the truth?
I don't remember seeing you come in. Did I see you come in?
I drove up and you were standing outside, and I should have rolled down the window and hollered at you, but I thought, it's time for me to get to church.
Yeah.
So I thought you knew I was there.
I did not. Came out and went,
Where am I? Where am I? No, I thought it was, I've been looking forward to doing this because I can feel for those folks without a pastor and having them
hey,
turn down and.
hey,
Yeah, but that's just dinner.
Right, right. Yes.
well, I'm not sure if it's going to be temporary. One of the things we've been discussing is forming a dual parish. It's not gonna happen till after seminary graduates get assigned. But it's one of the things that has been talked about. And if it does happen, if they do issue me that call, I'm gonna need feedback from you guys.
They don't want to dissolve, they're strong enough that they don't have to, you know.
Their problem is a problem many of our churches face. A lack of follow through in doing outreach. Because outreach doesn't work unless it's done consistently, over and over again, by the same people talking to the same people, over and over again, time and time again. These one-offs that churches do sometimes, they're fine, they're a good way to meet people, but they don't do anything unless you follow up with those people over and over and over again. Outreach isn't a precision strike. It's the tides. Working and working and working until something happens.
So many times I've seen in Lutheran churches, the new members come from the ones that get married.
That happens a fair amount, but there's not exactly a lot of marriageable people in that. With the exception of my catechism student, I was the youngest person there by a wide margin. Like, the difference the difference in ages there normally is the difference that we have in this room right now. Okay, well, he's talking about good things. Sometimes when no one gets exercise, it's time for me to poke my head in, but this time he's talking about good things, so. Okay. Yeah, so shall we dive in? We're looking at number 1252. Satan was permitted by God to test Job. Who would like to start reading for me? Go ahead.
The devil has two things with which he goes about his work. These are murder and falsehood. John 8:24. God commanded, you shall not kill. Exodus 20:13. And you shall have no other gods. Exodus 20:3. Against the commandment, Satan is constantly acting. He may and can do nothing else than lie and murder.
At this point, I asked him, Martin Luther, whether the devil uses his power by God's permission or by God's command. He replied, oh no, the power he uses is not commanded. He answers, but our Lord God doesn't stop it. He looks through his fingers. It's as if the great Lord saw that somebody set his barn on fire, did nothing to prevent it, but merely winked at it. This is what God does to the devil.
Then I introduced contrary testimony from Job. behold, he is in your power, and will spare his life. In the case of Job, Luther replied, the devil had power with God's permission. It was as if God said, this one time I'll make a concession to you, to spare his life.
Okay. Any questions on this?
And the word permission, it's, when I think of permission, I think of a student going to the teacher and saying, I need to be excused, may I be excused, or something. And so the devil actually went to God and said, I want to do this all to Job. He's asking permission?
Mhm.
How many times does the devil really ask permission when he wants to tempt everybody?
When we only have the one example recorded for us.
I just find that interesting.
It appears from the pages of scripture that the example of Job is exceptional in many ways.
I have to agree with that because of everything he had to go through.
Yeah, he had a tough couple months there. Anything else? With that, I have a couple questions. What are the devil's two tools?
Murder,
Murder and lies, yep. So how does that make sense? Are there more sins in the world than murder and lies? Then how can those be the devil's two tools?
We may and can do nothing else.
Yeah, I'm asking,
but I think the eyes can lead to a lot of things.
there it is. Every sin begins with a lie. What the lie is different from that sin. This will make you happy, this will make you feel better, this will make you feel important, this will make you important, this will something. It all comes from a lie. The only thing the devil doesn't do, the only thing the devil does that's honest is murder, because murder isn't a lie. It's inherently true. I killed that person. If you think about it, all other sins come from some sort of lie. Murder doesn't. The things that lead up to murder can be lies, but the action itself isn't. So in the beginning of the second paragraph, the author asked a question. What is that question?
He says, I asked Martin Luther, whether the devil uses his power by God's permission or by God's command.
Yep. Why is the author's question so important? Clara, Jacob, and Zeke, and in Sunday school, draw all over the walls of the basement. I look at Dolores and say, what happened? If her answer is, they grab the markers and start coloring on the walls, I will react one way. If she says, I gave them the markers and told them to color on the walls, my reaction will be very different, wouldn't it? Who I'm upset with would change very quickly. What do you think, Dean? Is Dolores going to tell the kids to draw on the walls? You'd be just as confused as I would be at that point. So,
God did not tell the devil to do these things. It says he looked through his fingers. It's as if he looked through his fingers. He looks through his fingers.
yeah,
Doesn't stop
what would it mean if,
him.
so what would it mean if the devil worked under God's command?
It would be what God wanted.
Yeah. Who is responsible for the slaughter of the village? The soldiers who commit it, or the officer who ordered it?
The officer, I would think.
He would be partially correct. They're both held liable, but the one who ordered it is held more liable because the soldiers were acting under his command.
As in Ukraine.
That's what I was thinking of. The rock band Yes wrote a song. Are you familiar with them? You should be. They're amazing. And this song is 50 years old, so it's more in your wheelhouse than mine. Came out 10 years before I was born. Wrote a song called Yours Is No Disgrace, which was an interesting song for the culture at the time, because in 1972, soldiers weren't particularly popular. But Yes recognized something that your long-haired hippies around here didn't. What the soldiers were doing, was being done largely out of compulsion rather than desire. And the song was about being drafted. And even if what was going on, which at that time was the Vietnam War, led to nuclear war, it wasn't the fault of the soldiers. It was the fault of the one who sent them, who gave the orders. So, if temptations came to us under God's command, and we gave in to them, whose fault would sin be? If God commanded temptations to come to us, and we gave in, whose fault would sin be? Ours, sure, but also God's. Yes. Do you understand why this is such a key distinction? Allowing something to happen and commanding something to happen are two different things.
Well, the thing that comes to my mind, whether it be saying that is, Marcus Potter. Where the scripture says that we didn't want it to happen, we tried to convince them not to do it, we didn't,
Pilate was a coward.
I know that, and I agree wholeheartedly, but it almost seems that way because the scripture says, he washed his hands of it, which, if he hadn't been such a coward, he would have said no.
Pilot neither commanded, pilot didn't command he allowed it. In a certain sense, that's accurate. But in the case of pilot, the allowing it was tantamount to a command. Because, yeah. Temptation comes to us naturally and supernaturally. The temptations that come naturally are not commanded. The temptations that come supernaturally are not commanded by God, but rather by the devil. The temptations that come supernaturally, God allows to come to us. Why? Most of you know I've picked up the hobby of making knives, right? How do you know if a knife is any good? You cut something with it. First knife I ever made was ugly. I never used it. I had it sitting in my shop. Till this week, I need to add some water to the water softener. So, water. I need to put some salt in there. I'm going to use this to cut open those bags. Things like cutting through it. Ah! I got a good edge on this thing. So, and you cut open water softener bags, right? They're kind of annoying sometimes. But this, I mean, the thing's huge. I took an old leaf spring from a car, flattened it out, thinned it out a little bit. When I brought the knife upstairs to showcase it, she screamed. Yeah, I could. So I walked up. Hey, look at this! Ah! Look, that's like a murder weapon. No, it's not nearly that thin. It's more like a short sword. Anyway. But you don't know how good something is till you test it. That's why God allows us to be tested. So what does God do with the devil's works?
Teaches us to come to him.
I see what you're doing there. But when I asked the question, I had more in mind while the devil was doing the things. Could God prevent temptation from ever coming to us? Absolutely. He doesn't. So what does he do when temptation comes?
He expects us to turn to him for help.
Sure. Yeah, just sort of almost winks at it, right? Yeah. What you've all been around kids. At a certain point, you have to let kids make mistakes, right? And sometimes you have to let them make painful mistakes. I let Zeke fall off a chair this summer during T-ball because I told him not to screw around on the chair several times. He didn't listen, he fell off, he hurt his elbow. You know what he stopped doing after that? Yeah. I got in trouble though because I wasn't concerned about one of the kids on my team getting hurt. It's my kid. I'm allowed not to be concerned. So, how did the author of this dispute Luther's point? I'll let you guys do that for a moment.
This point disputed, we all have the answer.
I think he's referring to that second paragraph from the bottom.
And I introduced contrary testimony from Job. Behold, he is in your power.
Well, what's the answer?
Yeah, I don't know what, he quoted where Job said, or God said to the devil, he was in his skin, or that he couldn't take his life.
And we talked about this at the beginning, I think, but in what way was the case of Job exceptional?
The devil wasn't allowed to murder him.
I don't think that's the big exception. As I mentioned, we talked about this earlier. What step was taken before the devil got permission? Think about it logically. Before the devil can get permission from God, he has to. This is the only time recorded in Scripture where the devil and God have discussed how to tempt a believer. To the best of our knowledge, this is the only time something like this ever happened. That makes it an exceptional case. It's not like the devil and God get together every day and say, okay, here's how we're coming after Dean today. Using Job as an example for anything other than grace under pressure is probably misusing because to the best of our knowledge, it is it's a one-off. It's something that doesn't happen all the time or really any other time. We look a little confused by this. Bonnie just looks mad. Now that gardening season's over, she's mad at me. She thinks I control the weather. When really she's the one who control. She can make it rain whenever she wants. All she has to do is go to the clinics and church and it will rain. Yeah, they do rain. Yeah. See how that works? You're in control, Bonnie. That's good. Sick of flies.
And mosquitoes. You drive the
You-
mosquitoes.
You see, that's the thing. I can't remember the last time I got a mosquito bite. You know, people talk about mosquitoes here. It's a bit like when people talk about watching out for deer here. Every year's been an unusual year since I've been here. Every year, oh, this is unusual, this is unusual. Now, that I'm beginning to think that
It is, and it is,
yeah,
has anybody seen the crickets as bad as it is? Somebody told me they're cats trapped. They were terrible, they were in my house. Did you
Yeah, I had
see
a
my
cricket.
house?
I had a cricket in the basement today, or last night.
Walked outside, they were like grasshoppers.
It was a little soundtrack while I was watching the Brentford. Doesn't matter. None of you guys follow English soccer. Well, Zeke and I did watch the tackle game together yesterday.
You're talking about the deer. We don't see many around here, but I think we came here and brought them with us. When we came here in Bedford, I saw 4. Yes. So we don't have so many here.
Yeah,
We don't have enough.
in where I came from in Wisconsin, the place we were living at right before we came here. I'm not exaggerating when I say the cabin we lived in was from here to that wall and from here to the front big. So getting Zeke to fall asleep was impossible, other than strapping him in the car and driving him around. And on those evening drives, you'd see, it would average out to about a deer a little. And on the way from the cabin to the car, you get 2 or 3 mosquito bites. So complaining about deer and mosquitoes in winter around here all make me giggle.
Wait, this way. They could come back.
I sincerely doubt you're getting 300 inches of snow here, ever.
What we try to do is get the deer to cross at those deer crossings. Yeah.
Yeah, can't you move those into town?
There are so many jokes about that. The deer are not crossing where they should. Yeah.
What a bunch of jerks.